Welcome back, everybody. So today we're going to do arts and crafts. So this is part 2 of issue 17, and let me put up this image again here, just as a reminder. So we're looking at this opening, and on the outside of the opening we can see the insulation, and also it looks like on the back side you can see the insulation, and the wires are running through there. So I need to simulate that insulation. So that is going to be the base part of the slot that I cut. And on the back side, I will use this and cut a piece that this will fit onto, and this will be on the outside. And that'll give it some something to kind of grip to when I attach it to the outside of that corridor. So I've measured that opening. It's a little under a ½ inch, and it's right around 2¼ inches long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this space, I'm going to make it 5/8 wide, and because I can always cut it down, but so I'm going to make it 5/8 wide by, where's my steel rule? Boy, if I was any less organized. Oh, here it is. I'm organized, it's just got a bit of a mess. So if I take my steel rule, we'll just do that across there. And I want to kind of make sure this is square. So does that look square? That looks square right there. And if we go to 2½ inches, 2½ inches, right? And we can put our mark here. We'll do 2½ inches on this side and put our mark there. Then we should be able to do like this, right? With this being square, should be able to draw a square line. This being square, boy, we were off on that mark, right? Should be able to draw a square line. Oh yeah, that's actually pretty square. And then we could just connect the dots. Alright, so this should be 2½ inches long. And it is. And it should be 5/8 of an inch wide. And it is. So we're good for the size. Now that I've drawn that, I'm going to try to make it disappear. So I did a little bit of an experiment, and I tried something here, which you can't see it, and I tried something there, which you can kind of see it. So you can kind of see this was a good result here. So what I found was if I take sandpaper and I rough up the surface with the sandpaper, what that's going to do is that's actually going to give some bite to my hobby knife after the fact. So it roughs it up a little bit, and let's see if you can kind of see that. You probably can't. It's just a little bit of fuzz. Yeah, you can kind of see some of the fuzz there if I get the shadow just right. So you can kind of see some of the fuzz. So now that it's roughed up, and I'm just going to kind of feel it, yeah, I can just take my blade and just put the blade, and I'm going to kind of use this edge now. It's an older blade, so I'm not worried too much about it being, because this is going to dull a blade, right? So I'm not terribly worried about dulling a blade. So that's looking pretty good. So I'll probably do some more passes like this because I want it to really look like it's pulled apart. You know, it needs to look like basically like fiberglass insulation is really what it needs to look like, and that looks pretty good. So I think I should be able to cut that out, and I'll just use my steel rule to do that. Hopefully this knife is still sharp enough to cut this out. And then of course I'm guessing where I'm needing to cut because my lines are all gone. This one's still good. So it doesn't matter if I cut a little long. Doesn't look like I cut right on the line either. And I cut right along the rule, but apparently I didn't have the rule in the right spot. Alright, let's see how well that came out. We can score it a couple more times to make sure we get through it. It doesn't have to be a perfect rectangle because I basically wanted it to be a little bit bigger than the opening, so that way I can make sure that it covers everything. So there we go. This is going to be our fiberglass insulation, and the good thing is it's about the right color too. So, which is one of the reasons why I went with the manila folders, because it kind of hit the color aspect. I'll probably go ahead and color all these cushions. I'm guessing you guys don't want to see me do that. I've painted enough stuff on camera. I'll do this off camera. If this is something you guys would actually like to see me do, please make a comment down below and let me know that you would actually like to see that. You know, because I'm just kind of going off a gut feel what you may want to see and whatever. Some of the stuff I like to show because I haven't showed it very much, but and I haven't showed a lot of like painting these or whatever, but I've shown a lot of different painting stuff. So if it's something you guys want to see, make sure you comment below. If you don't really care and you're just watching to watch, then fine, whatever. But I really do appreciate the comments. I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the best possible content that I can. So with that, I'm gonna go probably uh, do some measurements, try to get this cut out, and figure out how I'm gonna do the rest of this. I'll probably do the softening and stuff aspect of it on camera, so that way you guys can see it. But yeah, so I'll catch you in a little bit. Welcome back, everybody. So here we are. I've painted the top and the bottom. You can see where my masking was, if you look hard enough. You can also see where the paint didn't quite go, but that's okay because I don't think you're really going to notice it. It's going to be far enough back here in this corner that you're not going to see it, I don't believe. So I'm not terribly concerned about that. There's so much of this that you're not going to see. Like I did not paint down the middle because once you put this walkway in there, you're not going to see down in the middle anyway. So I'm not concerned about that either. So what I've been working on is I needed to try a way to put this piece of plastic on here and get it to bend around and all that kind of stuff. So I did a proof of concept, and I don't know if you guys can see how that's got a bit of a curve in it, and a little bit maybe on there. And you can see a little bit more on there. It's so short on the ends. And then I took um, the part that I'm using for the insulation, and I glued it on there. And I wanted to see how well it looked, and I think that it looks pretty good. The only problem is the insulation part is about the right size to cover everything. Maybe a tad bit tall, but as you can see, there's not a lot of space to glue this down, and so that bothered me. This needs to be able to glue down. So I cut a piece that was bigger, which is fine, but since this was a proof of concept, I wasn't terribly concerned about it. So I cut this piece that's bigger, and I stuck it up there, and here's basically the window of what we're looking at. So if I put this back up here and I line everything up, then this is how that's going to sit up there, and you can see on the back how much it's going to be on there. So what I thought was, after I cut this out, I want to stick this on, and of course I need to trim it. I did cut it a little bit bigger just to make sure that I didn't run into the same problem here. I can trim this a little bit. I just got to make sure that I'm well within the window. Um, so I think if we look at the top is about the right length, which is fine. So I'm good there. But the bottom definitely needs to be trimmed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and you can see that it's arched there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil. I'm going to do that. And then we'll just cut this here. I'm actually going to cut it about halfway. Now we can cut it most of the way anyway. So if we cut this part off, my knife is getting really dull. I could change the blade, but I've got plenty of time to do that. So now our top is still long enough, from what I can tell anyway, and the bottom is the right length. Okay, which that's all well and good, but it's also too wide, so I need to narrow it down a little bit, which is going to change the height and stuff. So I'm going to cut off the bottom part, and we can adjust it after that. So I'm not going to cut very much. I'm just going to cut this up here. I'm just going to cut a little bit. This is not working out. So I'm just going to cut not quite an eighth, but maybe a smidge more than a 16th. I don't know. There we go. We'll cut that out there. And it's better to cut just a little bit at a time and then keep trying it, as opposed to going with it and then realizing that that did not work. Okay. So I think we're going to be kind of good there, but I need to get this up like that. So I think that's going to probably be good. I need to get it up higher though. There we go. So I want to make sure that I at least have a little bit here to glue on the edges and that kind of stuff. And as long as we can do that, we're going to be good. So let me kind of get this lined up a little bit. And the only reason why I traced around that is because I wanted to make sure that I got this, the insulation part, the right size. Because that's very important. Get that the right size. And then I can kind of adjust from there. So I'm just going to trace around this because I want to make sure that I'm getting it put back where it needs to go. Because once I get ready to glue this down, it's going to go pretty quick. And I want to make sure that I don't mess it up. All right. So do my old tried and true here. And there's probably a better method, but you know what, this one works. There we go. Plenty of glue. I can tell you this manila folder really sucks up the glue too. So because of that, I think I'm going to put the glue on here. So I'm just going to go right along the bottom edge. I'm going to go around the top and the bottom edge, but on the ends, I'm going to really kind of lay it on kind of thick on the ends. And I don't really need any in the middle, because if it's not attached in the middle, it has a chance to maybe be a tad bit more fluffy after I bend it. So, all right. Here we go. Hold on to your butts. There we go. We'll let that dry, and hopefully that's still going to leave us enough room to glue there. The ends is really important because I may put an additional layer of this on there, and I've also got this fluff, and basically, let me show you how I did that. So I just took my knife and I just kept kind of doing this, and I got this fluff off here. You know, you can kind of gather up the fluff, and I'm going to see what happens if I glue a little bit of that around the wiring to help kind of, you know, make it look like it's all around it. I'm going to see what happens when I do that. If I just put a little bit of glue in the one spot and then stick this to it, then that should work. So I've got fluff there for that. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now is where the fun part happens. Now we have to try to get this on here in a position that is conducive for what is to come next. So ready for some fun and a little bit of noise. I've got a heat gun. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to heat this, and kind of, when it's soft-ish, I'm going to kind of press it down with my hands to try to get it to hold the shape. It should take a couple attempts, so here we go.
You can see it starts to bubble a little bit. The bubbling doesn't bother me too much. It tells me when it's starting to get soft, which is cool. All right. That's cold. So the heat gun's got a couple different settings. It's got hot and cold and off. And this edge down here is the sharpest edge. It'll have the most bend in it. The big problem is the tape stops holding. The glue on the tape kind of gives up. I can tell you, holding this thing, it gets crazy hot.
I'm going to just pull off this big tape because I can't see how much it still needs to kind of go down. So you can see if I kind of press it down, it's still got a long ways to kind of go down. The top I think is good. We got to get the bottom where it needs to be.
I tell you, this thing smells hot. Get a little bit better. Maybe if I kind of hold it and press it out, I can kind of force it to that shape. We'll see. The hard part is holding it.
Has my pain provided any rewards? Little bit. The bottom's not near as bad. I think by and large it's got the curve. It's just the middle needs to kind of be bent in a little bit. I knew this was going to be something difficult to do because of, I mean, you're getting it to bend and warp around two different axes, and that's not going to be an easy thing. But I think by and large, I can get that to stay down. I mean, if I glue it, hold it down, that kind of thing. Maybe glue this in first, hold it on the ends like that. Then I'll glue along the top and just a little bit at a time and hold it down until I get all the way to the end. Glue that end, and then, work my way that way. I think I can make that happen. So, there we go. There is that. I'm going to go ahead and figure out. Looking at the picture, I kind of came up with this. I thought there's one picture that's got a lot more reds and blues, but then I was looking at a picture from Empire Strikes Back that I know for sure. It looks like there's one big black one small black one, then there's a small red one, and there's a silver one down kind of towards in the middle. I don't know if it's a silver cable or just something kind of whitish silver that looks like it's going right down the middle. And then there's two big black ones on the bottom. And so I think that's the pattern of the cabling that I'm going to do. And again, the big ones are going to be, um, the big ones will be this size here as this silver one. So they won't be massive, but they won't be small either. Actually, I think that one might be those. I don't know. I've got two different sizes. I got these smaller ones, and then I've got a bigger one, I think. And so that's what I'm going to go with. So, um, yeah, so I'm going to get that done. Once I get those kind of lined up and planned out and all that kind of stuff, I'll probably have to give them a bit of a heat treatment so they can bend a little bit as well. I'll get those kind of put in place and figure out exactly where they are so then I can kind of notch this section out. Obviously, I want to leave this inside part, but I want to notch it out so that way they can go at least a little bit under there. And so I'll probably just do that off camera. I don't know. We'll see. Um, but with that, I'm going to step away for a bit, kind of finish planning stuff out, and I'll come back and we'll be moving forward. All right. Catch you later.